This is the Nerd View Review podcast. I am Oliver.
And I'm David. Hello.
I'm normally in Swansea at this point during the day, but I've actually come back home, strangely enough. It's taken us this long to do the podcast.
Yeah,
So
we've been
I'm
talking
back
about
here.
Series 8, every day, every week on Skype, but we've finally got around to making a podcast.
Yeah, we had a YouTube channel for a little bit now, so we're going to put something on there finally.
Yeah.
But, I think first of all we're going to first talk about all the episodes in Series 8 so far, put a little bit more emphasis on certain ones we do want to talk about. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the Mummy on the Orient Express yet.
That just aired, yeah.
I'm going to watch that tomorrow, probably talk about it sometime next week.
Indeed.
And then I'll get my opinions out on that. I've heard from David, who is a very, very reliable source to me.
That's me, by the way. Thank you.
Yes. Is that it is a very good episode. Obviously, I can't say too much. I trust him though.
Oh, I appreciate that trust, Ollie.
Right. So first of all, we're going to talk about Deep Breath.
Right.
So, I guess this has been my favorite one of the series.
Yeah, I thought it was a good start. To be honest, I enjoyed it. I think.
I got the introduction to Peter Capaldi. I think a very good character one for him. It was to introduce his character. Not going to try to say character too much, but to introduce him as the Doctor.
Yeah, and that scene with Liz Sladen's husband, I think that was fantastic with the tramp, because he's still done a bit of, he's still slightly disorientated from the regeneration, but it's still, the Capaldi we're seeing now as well. And then he had the scene in the restaurant with Clara, which I think gave them more dialogue than they ever had before.
I think, strangely enough, this was the one for me. Again, I had some people disagree with me on Twitter about this.
Twitter.
David tends to talk to a lot of positive people on Twitter. I tend to talk to a lot of negative people on Twitter, so we tend to get a bit of a joint response.
It's a bit like a good cop, bad cop thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you ever follow a person called Doctor Who rants, you'll find about, most of the episodes they didn't like. No, they didn't particularly like this one, but I had a bit of disagreement with this. But I think what was interesting about it, because Season 7, I think, gave Clara pretty much no personality.
Yeah, I concur.
It was set up in a way that she couldn't have any personality.
Because she was kind of the main enigma for the series, wasn't she? Yeah, so.
Which is very annoying, it was. So I was like watching it go, please do something, be interesting. And I think finally, she has it more of a personality. Whether it's one that the fans like, it's hard to judge. But it's definitely showing through a lot more now.
Definitely. I think that was the other thing about Deep Breath. I mean, obviously, as we go through this series, and we'll talk about it a bit more, because they've kind of like gone full ramp with the Clara thing now. But in that first episode on its own, it felt very refreshing for her to just have a bit more independence, and that scene where she was holding her breath, hence the title of the episode. But it didn't feel forced. It just felt like, oh, finally, we're actually meeting a person.
And rather than just someone who's just there for the plot.
Yeah.
That's very much what seasons. Yeah, I know you actually had a bit more positive view on Season 7 than I did, but I think it's not much you can really deny the fact that Clara didn't really have a personality in it.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough. It's been all or nothing with her, really. I guess we'll get onto that later.
Very big split in the community, I think, so far. She is.
Yeah. Okay. So
I do want to say one little thing about Deep Breath before we go on, is that what made me think set up, because I didn't think Deep Breath was amazing. I thought it was a little bit above average.
Okay.
It was. Again, as average as the whole TV series go. I'm not getting into my whole rating system, because that'll take up the whole podcast to talk about how I rate shows.
Yeah.
David does know my system for it. It does take a very long time to explain my rating system. It does, but one thing that was quite interesting to me, and I have said about this, that I feel it started showing a bit more of the classic elements of Who. It did. Generally, I think they were drawing back to a more Sylvester McCoy. It was particularly in the Doctor's way he was, and I think the personality was very much taken.
Yeah, I mean, I saw kind of elements of Pertwee, Baker, both Bakers and McCoy in there, I think, in terms of being that little bit more disagreeable.
Yeah. I think particularly, for me, particularly McCoy in the scene where Clara has to hold her breath. Because I feel it would have been McCoy's kind of Doctor who would abandon than someone in that situation where they could get killed.
Yeah, kind of the way that you would kind of put Ace in these difficult situations, knowing she could handle it, but still, there's this kind of line, and I think later in this series, it almost gets crossed in Kill the Moon, which we'll get to later.
We'll have a lot to say about Kill the Moon.
Yeah.
So we'll get on to the next one now. Into the Dalek.
Right.
Oh God, did I pronounce it with an R? Dalek. Don't kill me, people.
It's okay, right. Sorry, I'm just getting up something on Wikipedia as well. Gasp, so we don't skip any episodes.
Oh, right, okay. There's a possibility. I will probably try to skip some of them, I would.
Right, Into the Dalek. Now, we've got slightly differing opinions on this, I think.
I think for me, for my general opinion on it, well, I didn't have any opinion on it. It was just so average. It didn't really have much in the way of positive or negative, really, for me. It was just so much like, it's not to say it was good, and that's it. It was just saying that it really didn't leave much of an impression on me.
Personally, I mean, I found it to be, there were elements of like kind of 7 or 8 previous Dalek episodes in there. The whole conflict with humans, that actually reminded me more of Big Finish. But, in general, there are bits that have been poached from both classic and modern Who in terms of, going inside a Dalek. There was the whole prudential morality thing, which was Dalek under Christopher Eccleston. There was a little bit of evolution of the Daleks in there. But I think it wasn't like amazingly distinctive in its own right, but it did tend to do the Dalek thing a bit better than it's been done in the past.
I would say it's been one of the better Dalek episodes of the Moffat era, but that's also because Moffat did give us Rainbow Daleks. He did, so.
Well, yeah, at least
they haven't had too much of a return.
Yeah. Strange, that was a Mark Gatiss episode, I think, Victory of the Daleks, but he had nothing to do with the design.
Fair enough. I've heard Moffat's had a lot to do with the design of characters and that. Again, I'm not saying he did it, because I know people will correct me on that. I do know that he's had a lot of input on a lot of the designs now he has for a lot of the new characters and new monsters and that. So he might have been a lot of Moffat on that one. Might have been. I don't know.
Okay.
I won't make that clear. But it's
just a quick.
Actually, I want to ask this question here. This is actually a genuine question. I'm not actually too much on it, but for Cybermen, a lot of the emotional thing makes sense. They have the emotional inhibitors and that, and they can get damaged and that, and obviously, like in the one where
you can malfunction.
Back,
okay.
Malfunction that. What is it for Daleks? Because I've heard like Davros saying that he'd take out the emotions. I don't know how you take out the emotions of one, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
I've seen it before, so I'm not saying this is a Moffat problem. I'm not saying that, because we did see it in the first Dalek episode since Doctor Who's been brought back, with the emotions coming into it and have them. But it used to be like I think they used to say like Daleks made only to be able to feel hate and anger.
Something to do with the chemistry of the mutants. I think that came up in Genesis. I can't quite remember the line, but yeah, I suppose it's just something, as the show evolves, maybe it's to stop it from developing emotions. Really, they didn't have them, but through time, the amount of different types of Dalek mutants you've had, it must be a very difficult thing to maintain.
Possibly. That does sound logical.
Yeah.
It's been mentioned as, so again, I feel in the first one it was in the first time it was done around, they had the morality. It definitely felt more of a psychological kind of one to it.
Okay.
It was, because when they talked about it and that, like Rose and that, and he wanted to be free from everything. That definitely felt a bit more like he genuinely came to that decision. Now, this one seemed to be more of a malfunction in him.
Yeah, I think that was the intention. I think that's what left it.
It's very interesting what Daleks are.
Oh yeah, definitely. The situation we were left with at the end of this one was, a Dalek that is supposedly good. That's questionable, isn't it?
He is a bad Dalek. The Doctor is a good one.
Yeah, but I think, ironically, I wonder if the writer of this, it was Phil Ford this episode, I think he did a good job, but I wonder if they'd seen the graphic novel The Only Good Dalek, because sounds surprisingly similar.
We got beat to it, eh?
Yeah. Well, I think that's...
Again, I feel like I've made this clear that, for everyone, if they don't already know, that David is the bigger Doctor Who fan.
No, it's cool.
I would say I don't know more than the average person, but I still feel David can't really beat the fact that David has a bookcase full of Doctor Who.
Hey, we are, each to their own. That's just. I'm just the slightly stranger one. Okay.
If my interests aren't strange, I don't know what else to call them.
Right.
So next one we're on.
Just a quick thing to touch on with Into the Dalek, just really, really quickly, is there was this strange Journey Blue. I couldn't even remember her name. I had to look it up, but I felt she was a good character. She was the soldier, and
Oh gosh, we got to start talking about the soldiers, aren't we? I'll bring that up in Caretaker. I'm going to make that mostly for Caretaker. I will when I talk about that.
Okay, I think she played a decent role in this episode. Was relatively likable. Also in this episode, wasn't one of the soldiers the girl who's just been in Our Girl, or something like that. Anyway, that's off topic.
Was that the new one, was it, or the original one?
What the BBC series that's just started airing?
It was Lacey Turner. I think it was Lacey Turner in the first one. It was the one who played Stacey in EastEnders.
Oh, okay.
It was, but if there was a new one on, I didn't watch the new one.
Okay, I think it was something. Something different.
I don't think Lacey Turner was in.
No. It was a different BBC thing they've just done. But anyway, quickly, at the end of this episode starts this kind of strange and sudden anti-soldier prejudice.
Which we'll get a lot into in Caretaker.
Yeah,
it's a lot to say about it when we get to that.
It's very weird because in a way, we've always seen the kind of like the conflict between the Doctor and the soldier kind of mind, like Pertwee a lot. At the end of first Silurian episode, attacking the Brigadier for blowing them up, and David Tennant kind of not liking being saluted, but at the same time he's also best mates with like the Brigadier and Benson.
I really want to talk about this. I just feel leave it a bit because I think we have a much bigger point to talk about it later
in the Caretaker. Anyway, so we'll be back to that in a minute.
I think we should talk about it then.
Next we have Robot of Sherwood,
which me and you had very different opinions on.
Yes. Mark Gatiss episode, this one. He's generally pretty good. We like Gatiss.
Mark Gatiss, I can't add too much against you. He wrote an episode in season, and I actually really like Cold War, and that's again I'm not nothing against Mark Gatiss as a writer or as a person. He's a very good writer, and I assume a good person. I don't know him personally.
Adventure in Space and Time. That's where he gets me.
Yeah. So I've got nothing against him, but I hated Robot and Sherwood.
Yeah, okay. Well, hang on. Tell you what, with this, I'll let you go first, and then I'll...
You want me to go first? I'll go first in this. I'll get out all I have to say about it. And well, pretty much. I might have more to add later, but because I will probably forget some things. First of all, first biggest point. I say biggest point. First point I'm going to mention because it came up first. The spoon fighting.
I kind of liked it, to be honest. And I'm not a big fan of gimmicks. But I thought because the Doctor took it so seriously, it was kind of a bit fun.
I get the fun of it. It just felt too gimmicky for me.
I suppose.
It felt so much like it was like, I'll fight you, and Doctor going, I don't care about my life.
Well, to be fair, that the amount of sword work the Doctor's done, he could well have. I don't know. I think that
he's a competent sword fighter, and we saw that in the episode. But I still just feel he doesn't need to do that. It's like, was he just trying to show him off? Was he, or?
Well, I suppose. I think if a different Doctor had done it, for example, I don't know, if Smith had done it, I think I'd probably have not liked it quite so much.
This is again where we're different. I would have probably understood it more with Smith, because I feel Smith was more that kind of impulsive one who might have done it.
That's a fair point, actually.
Capaldi, again, I couldn't make too much at this point, but I feel Capaldi is a bit too serious for it, and again, that's what kind of broke it a bit more for me. I feel, again, I probably wouldn't have liked it with Smith, but I would have seen it a bit more with Smith. Okay, fair enough. My take on it.
That's all right. That's cool. Yeah. All right, shall we? What else?
I think it's probably my biggest complaint of it.
Well, the episode,
there
or
are, yes, of the episode. And that's basically the fact that I think, again, I'm going to go into a whole bigger point of this, but it's the whole Doctor versus Robin Hood episode, which is I really could not stand.
Yeah,
who's more manly?
I'm going to chime in on this. Yeah, Moffat seems to enjoy populating Doctor Who with innuendos, although not that Russell D Davies didn't do the same thing. And I think the whole like Doctor and Robin bickering got really tiring after the first 2 minutes, and they did it for like half the episodes. That was annoying. I completely agree there.
This kind of goes to my point there. It felt so much more like a Sarah Jane episode.
Okay. And for the record, Ollie does like Sarah Jane, just to chime in.
Yeah, I love Sarah Jane. I love the series. It's I have every DVD I have all the seasons except for the last season. I do. On DVD upstairs right now. I love it. I love Sarah Jane so much. But I don't want to see Sarah Jane I don't want to see Sarah Jane Adventures in Doctor Who, because it felt so much to me. The whole thing between them two, it felt more like a fight between Luke and Clyde than it did like the Doctor having some sort of fight in that. It did.
That's fair enough. I think I can agree with that, and I guess there was something. This is something I discussed with someone on Twitter. Was that Robin from the start? He felt so much like Robin Hood. You know, he felt like uber Robin Hood that he had to be a fake.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is another point. Another point I agreed with you on. It was that I think I feel they had the perfect twist.
Yeah.
They did, and it was like, it would have been a bit. Again, I'll give them the fact that it's a bit cliche. Maybe that might have been why they didn't go for it. Say he's a robot, but I still feel the twist was there. I still think it would have been enough.
What if he had been a robot instead of the? Yeah, I think.
I kind of understand why they might not have done it, because they might have thought that's a bit too expected, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I kind of feel it's the only thing that made sense.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand how that whole legend goes on to be what it is from that single event, if that makes any sense. Because if he is the real Robin Hood, then what happened there has to inspire the entire legend, and he was there for like 2 weeks, probably, total. And I don't know. Yeah, I think the Merry Men didn't get a chance to do much. It wasn't really their fault. I think. Sorry, they actually had to cut a scene at the end as well, where it turned out the sheriff had been revealed to actually have been turned into a robot when the monsters, or what were they? I can't remember. The robotic things found him when they crashed. They crushed him, so I had to turn him into a robot. And Robin beheaded him, but obviously with recent events they couldn't show that, so they just cut it short. And then he put his head back on and fell into the lava, and that's the bit they showed.
Alright.
It didn't really change much, to be honest. I think it just probably would have looked a bit silly.
Yeah. But again, I would say, I'm not sure if you put yourself in the corner a bit here, mate, but I want you to talk a bit about what it was you liked about the episode then.
No. Okay.
You've kind of agreed with me quite a bit now. You have.
Well, I thought it was relatively quite fun. I liked the archery contest scene. I think that the performances from both the sheriff and Robin, played by, who were they played by? Tom Riley and Ben Miller, actually. That's right. Tom Riley, some people know from Da Vinci's Demons. I think I just felt that they felt really quite authentic, but in a kind of, I don't know, more a play-like sense, if that makes sense. They just suited the stage better, I think.
I feel a little bit, it was kind of acting that kind of would work quite well in classic Who.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Although the sheriff would have been ridiculously camp in classic Who.
In classic Who.
I'm just kind of like picturing the Time Warrior right now. Oh, and the leader in that.
I love that story. We're not going to get too much into classic Who.
Okay. Anyway, so we've pretty much covered a robot of Sherwood, I think.
And now we have to go
on to listen.
Listen
to the song here in my heart.
I should never start off an episode where I know more about science than the Doctor.
No.
Such a crap explanation of evolution he did.
Oh yeah, that was rather poor. Like the very first minute. But hey,
He pretty much explains it wrong, though. evolution doing is. It's not again. I'm not again. I shouldn't give a science.
That's okay. Ollie's
this,
kind of quite into science.
I will just say that I'm trying to be a psychologist now. I know a lot about evolutionary biology, so I do know about this stuff. And it's really annoying hearing it talked about so badly in the first bit. And I shouldn't know more than someone who I should not know more than this amazing genius doctor.
Okay. Moving on from the first couple of minutes. Initially, now both of us here actually thought the first 20 minutes or so seemed quite positive. We thought, oh, this might be all right.
Well, I think me in not the same way as a lot of other people did. I think me in quite a different way to how a lot of the other fan base was saying it was good. Because I think a lot of other people were going, oh, that was spooky. I didn't find any of it scary. I want to get that off the bat first. I didn't find any of it scary, not even the slightest.
Yeah, I should chime in here. My 6-year-old cousin watched this and wasn't remotely scared at all.
And I heard some 30-year-olds saying they were.
But
my point, why I think I enjoyed it, is because I feel the first kind of 20 minutes of it at least are so bad it's good.
Fair enough.
It's quite. I was laughing for a lot of the start of it. I was really enjoying it.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
This is not good, but it's so trying to be.
I think the problem with this episode is it hyped itself up so much to be absolutely terrifying. And the whole thing under the bed.
We both read on trailers on Facebook. We said, you said, this is when we were arguing a bit about Robot Sherwood on Facebook, and I said, oh yeah, I think listeners are going to be good. That it looks scary.
That's the problem. I think it never really did that fear factor. I'm just thinking back. Let me think. For example, Crimson Horror. Just pick one from last series. Had quite a gruesome element to it that gave it that edge. And I think in terms of scariness, this episode didn't have that edge. But I will say I absolutely loved the scene. Although it kind of got ruined later on with context, but at the time I liked the scene with the blanket and the young Danny Pink.
Yeah, that kind of got ruined later on. It did because
I found that really spooky personally.
I appreciate that was being scared of people, but I think after you hear the bit at the end, you're like, oh gosh, that was dumb.
Yeah, just so to move nearer the end, I think. The first third of the episode was good. Then we get to the second third where nothing really happens at all. It's all about Clara and Danny, and I like Samuel Anderson who plays Danny, and I kind of like him, but his clone from the future or ancestor or whatever it was pointless. Entirely pointless.
I have no idea why they did that. It didn't make any sense.
Oh, they went to a planet at the end of the universe, but they've already done that several times.
I don't really get the point in seeing him. It was just.
Yeah.
Kind of there he is.
Look at him. He looks like Danny. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I think last bit we absolutely despised.
Yes. This was, and I understand that some people would say, oh well, stop moaning about something because all right, it doesn't stick to a rule or whatever. But personally, I just can't conceive seeing the Doctor as a kid, and that just did it for me. Oh dear, that.
Have there been good things of it, when they kind of go into the very mysterious bits of his past? Now, again, they shouldn't ever be that explicit with his past.
Not to mention, how on earth did they get to Gallifrey, which is still time locked, by the way? All right, they may have survived, but you still can't just land the TARDIS there casually.
It was his memories. Why wouldn't you have done that before? Just, oh great, my memories. I can just go there anytime I want.
Yeah, that was kind of insane.
Yeah, it'd be a bit awkward speaking to his mum over dinner, and I go, oh, where have you been? You go, oh, I've been in the future, and I go, oh, really? You go, yeah, I've seen stuff that happened to Gallifrey, and oh, what, like what? I go, you'll find out.
Yeah.
You'll find out.
Oh, I know. So I'm thinking I don't know. The other thing I suppose is Clara. Has already had that whole thing at the end of season 7, where she's kind of gone and saved the Doctor multiple times. which I was kind of okay with because he saved all those things the first time. Then the Great Intelligence went in and mucked it all up, and she went in and reversed what the Great Intelligence had done. So he still did it himself, but sometimes he needed her to fix what. Oh, whatever.
I mean, I wasn't as big a fan of that. Again, it didn't annoy me too much, but this definitely was where
Oh
I went
yeah,
on the
this.
edge.
The whole, like, her giving her a speech and quoting Hartnell as if to put those words in his mouth. No, 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 no. That is not. I don't know. I don't know whether the intention was to be that she inspired the Doctor to be what he is now, but I just erased that.
I'm not a big Clara fan. I don't mind her. I think she's alright, but just, I could enjoy her so much more if they didn't just keep trying to say she's the most important person in the damn universe.
Yes, yeah, they're rather prone to that, whoever the companion is.
Again, they've done it before. Like, not Clara. I mean, Donna and that they did it a bit, but I feel that Donna, it really comes from a bit of a place, like.
That was a moment, wasn't it?
She didn't have as much self-worth. Also, it made a bit more sense just her getting this thing. It wasn't like she inspired the rest of the universe and everything that happens ever. She's pretty much like God or whatever, It's like, I'm not going too far enough. It's like, stop making such a massive deal. I mean, Donna, like, saved the universe. I get that thing, but it made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. I just think at this point, I mean, it was unnecessary, that final scene, and it was another one of those emotional speeches because the Doctor doesn't give them anymore. I mean, Matt Smith used to give them so often that they lost their impact, but now they're like, oh.
I think people at the end were like, yeah.
Capaldi's not like that, so let's get Clara to do it instead. And I think I couldn't accept the end of this episode, really. I'm going to write a headcanon around it that stops it from happening.
It was the master, I think, in our opinions, or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's what my cousin came up with. I think she's like, oh, that wasn't the Doctor as a child. I was like, well done, Sophie, well done.
I agree. If it turned out to be a master, maybe I might change my opinion of it a bit. But
anyway, yeah, that's.
So now on to one. I guess we have generally positive views about.
Time Heist. Well, I love Time Heist, and Ollie thought was all right.
Again, I'm going to let you speak first now.
Okay, thank you. Well, for me, for Time Heist, I felt it was pretty original. Well, it felt original or relatively refreshing. And for once, the main villain, Malan Karabraxos, that's it.
That's right.
Madame Karabraxos / Miss Del Fox, who's a clone of herself. For once, I think, wow, this actually felt.
I can say this quickly. I think
okay.
we have to put. When we put this up, we should put brackets spoilers because we did not say that.
Oh yeah, spoilers here, by the way. For the first 6 or 7 episodes. But I thought Kitty Hawes was really, really good, and it kind of there's been this cliche with Moffat's female characters. I know that he didn't actually really write this; it was mostly Steve Thompson, but who kind of you generally got the Tasha Lem, the River Song, the Amy Pond, in that they're these kind of supposedly strong, sassy women without much personality. Ollie's kind of doing. There's good things as a podcast. Who don't really get much of. They're not actually that likable, and they don't feel like real people. Whereas I love the twist in this.
Tasha Lem, I just so want to go on such a rant about why I hate them all.
Yes.
We're going to talk about this first.
I think the twist in this felt really authentic, even though it felt vaguely similar to Hyde last year. But that was cringeworthy. When it's like, oh, it's just a love story. The monster loves the other monster, and it felt cringy. But this time, I think it actually.
I remember that.
I liked the teller. I think it was quite scary. I liked the supporting characters, Sai and Sabra. So I thought this was a really good episode. At the time, it was my favourite of the series so far.
Yeah, I had not as positive, but I definitely appreciate all of that. I think for me, and when you say the originality part of it, is that I don't feel that was present for the first half an hour.
Yeah. You said about
I watched the thing, and there's so many what we do it, it'll work out the first time, and that was just it felt so much of it felt so cliche. boring even, the whole first half an hour. But when it gets the last 15 minutes, that was stuff that would be in a Russell T Davies episode. That was brilliant, the last 15 minutes. That was very original, I thought it was. I felt, again, it gave a very good showing off what Moffat tries to bring. Because I really do see what Moffat is trying to do with Doctor Who. He tries to bring this more energetic, younger kind of vibe to it. And I genuinely feel he was able to mix that in quite, again, it's not him, but, his general writing staff, his overlooking that, brought a lot more of that in the last 15 minutes.
Okay.
So 15 minutes, I think, is brilliant. I just can't forget that I was so bored in the first half an hour.
I think it's quite telling that, I know this is slightly different, I think it's quite telling we haven't spoken that much about Capaldi yet, because he hasn't been given that much to do.
I feel Capaldi is a great actor, a great Doctor Who with nothing to work with.
Yeah, I think he's played the Doctor really well. I just don't think the Doctor's been given a lot to do. I like his Doctor, and I think a lot of people are complaining that he's like, he's too much of a jerk, he's too disagreeable, he's a bit of an ass.
I haven't really seen anyone say Capaldi is a bad person to play him.
Oh, no, but I'm just to respond to people who say, that they don't like. I think, just look at Colin Baker or, even what Tom Baker could be like, and people love him. I think at times, Capaldi has been kind of what seems a bit insensitive, or not Capaldi, obviously the Doctor, the 12th Doctor. But I think that's kind of just because that's the best way, the most efficient way to save everyone, This comes in again, and I know you haven't seen it, so I won't reveal much spoilers, but him seeming a bit heartless, but really it's just the best way for things to go. That happens in Mummy and the Orient Express as well. And
I feel like, and again, it's not really something I can criticise too much, because I feel it's been seen before. Like you said, Tom Baker, Colin Baker, particularly McCoy is someone I like to go back to. And
yeah. And even McGann in some big finishes can, he's generally the nice Edwardian gentleman Doctor, but he can be like that too,
Definitely. It's not even seen before, it has, to the degree that is to Clara and that, and obviously, I don't want to bring your opinion too much, because this is the internet. If we start talking about sexism and that, then we're gonna at least we'll get thousands and thousands.
Oh yeah,
of
a couple of comments from the Doctor to Clara, I think, have been a bit over the top. They're not funny. I just think they're quite, well, we'll cover this later.
Yeah, I think if we call them sexist and that, we'll just guys, feel free just to rage comment in the comment section.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna do it anyway. But just feel free.
Okay.
Next one.
Okay, right. Next episode, The Caretaker.
Oh, lovely.
Okay.
Terrible episode.
Ollie didn't like this one. I had neutral opinion on it, to be honest. There were the monster and the main plot was awful. Really, really not great at all.
It was so unimaginative. It was.
Yeah, it was a character piece, wasn't it?
To me, like something that would be on Robot Wars.
Yeah, kind of like a cross between Robot Wars and Alien. But it was very much a character piece.
It was, but I still don't feel like. I suppose if you talk to a character piece, it was one of the first Doctor Who episodes I've seen in a very long time that's had a non-annoying kid character.
Yeah, Courtney. Yeah, I think a large part of that was hiring a kid who was good at acting.
Why can't they do it right? I remember the first time we saw a kid character in this series, and I was going to Danny Binger, have you killed a man, Sarah? What kid talks like that? Yeah,
well, I can't. Yeah, I didn't. As Danny's kid actor, I felt neutrally about. I think
maybe kid actor.
I think he seemed a lot. I think he seemed. You could see Danny in him, to be fair to him, actually. But in general, just look back. Thinking back, obviously Angie and Artie. Ooh, insufferable, awful.
Oh God. I kind of that episode meant so little to me.
Nightmare in Silver. Oh dear.
You hated again. We're going to get into it eventually, but I'm going to let you guys know I despise Nightmare in Silver with quite a passion.
Yeah, match only by despise your dislike for Gaiman's other episode, The Doctor's Wife, which I also don't like. That's not popular because I know people love it, but nope.
People tell me
not
that
us.
Gaiman is a really good writer, and I believe them. I do. He probably is. I know he's written like Stardust, was it, and that is.
Yeah.
He probably is a very good writer. He probably is. But he can't write Doctor Who.
Well, I mean, certainly not.
I've seen so many positive. I saw a BuzzFeed article when they called The Doctor's Wife the 6th best episode of Doctor Who since he brought back. I got so much rage at that. I have no idea. I can't understand it at all.
Well, you know, I'm sure we could have a whole podcast about that, but we better move on.
I think this suffice to say, the Doctor's Wife is one the only episode of anything I've given up like a 1 out of 10 to. It was like pretty much everything I hate about it, except for like some Rory and Amy scenes.
Yeah, strangely enough, they were actually okay. The corridor scenes with House.
Yeah, we get back on the Caretaker.
Okay, right, the Caretaker.
This is where I want to get into my big thing is because again we might have more to go back to, but I really want to talk about this now because I feel this is our moment to talk about it. The military. The army. The army people. Why do you hate them, Doctor?
Yeah. I think it was rather interesting that Danny Pink is a maths teacher, an ex-soldier who's a maths teacher, which is kind of exactly what the Brigadier went on and did in Battlefield. And I wonder if that was deliberate, but obviously the Doctor's reaction is very, very different. He's suddenly, for the first time, I think, and I don't think we barely ever see this from the Doctor, he can be right ass sometimes, but he actually acts really bigoted, and I think that's pushing the envelope here. It's just for the sake of a storyline.
Made no sense to me.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Can you speak up a bit, mate? Because obviously
sorry, I will reiterate. It made no sense to me whatsoever. It didn't. It made me angry. Actually, it did. Seeing him act like that. It did, because it was like it made no sense how Doctor 1 is that angry at anyone. Just felt it, but mostly he's friends with people in the military. He's friends with Martha. He's friends with loads of people who have helped save his life.
Yeah, I mean, even recently.
Lee Evans played in that, and he saved him from the other universe that he went to, and that, didn't he? In that Easter special.
Kate. Even recently we've had Kate Stewart. I think it was a really kind of so obviously done for the purposes of conflict with Danny because of the whole Clara in the middle kind of thing. I think it was too obvious.
I also feel it's a bit of a forced thing for Moffat to say, oh, I'm anti-war. And go, great. Well, do you hate soldiers then? Or again, I'm sorry. I don't want to say anything about Moffat as a person, or whether or not what he likes or dislikes, as people. But I do wonder, is that what he's trying to say? That we should hate soldiers, soldiers people.
Well, I think Danny's shown us quite wise, I suppose.
Say my general point is that I've known people who've gone. I mean, we got someone we went to school with who's now a soldier, and that does that mean we should dislike people like him? And that is that what the message is of that? If we should instantly judge them, and only when they turn out to be nice should we?
I think the Doctor never really. I mean, it just seemed to go away after that. He didn't apologise or anything like that. So I suppose, it was a bit of a muddled, misguided message there, I think. I mean, in terms of the rest of the episode, I don't know. I quite liked Danny. It wasn't amazing. There was a funny classroom scene with the Doctor out the window. I kind of liked that. Yeah, we should have seen Ian Chesterton. That would have been nice.
That bit made me laugh. It did.
Yeah. Which is always, if it can actually do that rather than be annoying, then that's always good.
Pretty much. But it was, what was I going to say? I just feel like, he's been, again, people he's been such good friends with now. Also, he's never shown this much hatred to them. I mean, he's never been like, oh, I love you guys so much, I want to instantly embrace all of you. But, he's never been that dismissive so quickly of them. And that, I mean, people like, I've had like people like Benton and Brigadier, like we've said, have been great friends to him. Like, people he'd probably, be as good a friends there as he was friends with people who'd be Time Lords or his companions and that, just as good friends.
So,
and it's like, and again, people who've been companions who have gone to help the military, he's still, obviously, he's not happy about, say, Martha and that being in there, which is understandable. He doesn't like the idea of it, but he doesn't hate the people.
Yeah.
He doesn't. I never got that from him.
Exactly. It's more the military mentality than the people. So, I think I don't know. In the end, I thought the character bits was done okay in here. It had a couple of okay scenes, but I didn't, nothing particularly special.
Yeah, it just wasn't the rule, I suppose. So
I mean, it was Gareth Roberts who did the
you're
two James Corden episodes. The first of which was good, the second of which I didn't like. Let's go on to Kill the Moon.
there's another thing here really because it's so I've had so much to say about it in the past. I'm just like it's kind of
You're right.
Sorry, sorry. I just think about it. I think about this episode, I think I've actually said all my thoughts in it. But I think for once there is just
what Kill the Moon?
No, not Kill the Moon. I just said about Caretaker. I just think.
Oh, okay.
I just said. I've said. Oh, I'm just trying to think from my head there a little bit, clearing it up. So should we move on to Kill the Moon now? Are we on that now?
Yeah, we're on Kill the Moon now.
I don't know. Did you already say it? Because I think your thing was stuttering a little bit. Was on my.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, we're doing this by Skype, by the way, guys. So if there's a couple of connection issues. Yeah. Okay. So on to Kill the Moon.
I think we can agree that we hated Kill the Moon.
Well, I disliked it. I think hate is a bit of a strong word.
I hate indecisive people. Well, actually, hate's a bit of a strong word. Sorry, I had to get a Stuart Francis joke in there.
Fair enough. Well, should I let you go first this time?
I feel like for this we're going to have to bounce off each other on that because there's so many points that are going to keep coming back and forth on this episode.
Okay, right.
It's like, I'll start off a bit. The moon is an egg. How do you feel about that, David?
Yeah, well, I must admit, while there are bits of this episode, I thought, well, that was all right. That was okay. That feels good. The whole egg thing, while it was quite cleverly masked by, a bit of character here, a bit of tension there, was utterly ridiculous. The moon is a giant egg which hatches in a grand total of about 10 seconds and is then immediately replaced by another egg, the same size. Looks like one of Daenerys Targaryen's dragons hatches out of it. Sorry, Game of Thrones reference.
The nerds are going to love you. Well, I shouldn't say. I don't want to say nerds again. I'm not saying that's criticism. I am a giant nerd. That's why it's called the Nerd View Review.
Yeah.
But I just think I think the moment I heard it's an egg, it's like, well, I'm out of here.
Initially, before it actually hatched, I was kind of like, okay, I'm trying to try and not let this, ruin it. To be fair, I guess the moon kind of looks a bit like an egg.
The moon is cheese, David. You forget that.
Oh, of course. Sorry, Wallace and Gromit. Yeah.
I feel like American people watching this going, what?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, look up Wallace and Gromit.
Very famous British claymation and that. It is very famous, but I just feel like people.
Sorry. Yeah. Sometimes that can sail over heads.
They made quite a famous episode talking about how the moon is made of cheese.
Cheese, Gromit.
So that's just a reference to that.
Okay, so once we actually get there, once we get to the moon. Oh no! First, can I say something? Before we got there, I was a little skeptical from the first couple of minutes when the whole.
What are you talking about?
Are you sure I'm not? What do you mean I'm not special? I'm not special. Why'd you say I'm not special?
Why do you care?
Yeah, why should a random string... I think there's this misconception in Doctor Who of what kids are like.
I don't agree with your thing of saying he's random to her, because I think, that thing was quite important to her, see going out there and that, but I still think, his opinion shouldn't be that important to her, a grumpy old guy who's a bit weird, saying she's not special, I think...
Yeah, I know.
Would be, alright.
Yeah, I know, I think... Alright, I know that, sometimes I think the message they're trying to get there is teenagers are emotionally unstable, but I mean, come on, she's 15.
What are you trying to say?
It's just someone. If they mean it, fine enough. If just someone randomly says you're not special, you just go like, well, middle finger, bye bye. There's nothing like hugely. I don't know, but that was turned into a big thing.
I guess I kind of understand that he wouldn't be. I mean, like you said, he wouldn't be random, because I would have thought the whole thing when he took her into space, and that would have made her feel quite special. Now,
but that, I mean, obviously that was before that, wasn't it?
Grumpy guy.
Yeah.
It's like,
just a bit random, like a tramp who yells something stupid at you as you're leaving the supermarket. Nothing. I've had that in the past.
You steal my shoes. I get that told to me every day.
But Yeah, so that was a little. But okay, moving on. They're on the moon now.
They're on the moon, yes, they're on the moon, and we have spiders. Which I'm gonna say here. Sorry, I'm an arachnophobic, quite a bad one. I get scared by even the little ones.
Okay, yeah,
I want to say that these did not scare me.
I didn't mind them. I suppose because we never really saw them in like more than one at once. Really, they didn't really quite have the power to be that scary. I thought they were okay.
I kind of felt they were like, they just kind of used a bit of found footage from the Merlin episode where they went into the cave.
I remember that, and Arthur's had to save Merlin, and they were all climbing the wall. Yeah, they just.
So they used some found footage, and like, oh, great, we'll put that into the episode, splice that in a bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, the other thing, I suppose, the other two astronauts, aside from Hermione Norris's character, the other
Red
two,
shirts.
yeah, the most obvious red shirts ever.
Sorry, I really got there.
I didn't dislike them. I thought they were all right actors, but I think they were so obviously gonna die. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't even any kind of doubt the second they appeared on screen. Just the way the shot was set up, and the fact they hadn't been in any promotional material at all either, it didn't help. I do loathe promotional material because too many spoilers. But
I actually didn't watch any trailers going up to this. I didn't or anything like that. So I mean, I didn't really see this, but I still feel as soon as you saw them, it was like, bye.
yeah, I know. And like sure enough, one of them gets cliche separated from the rest of them, and I don't know that.
This way, I go this way.
Yeah.
You die.
Oh, definitely. So, I think that was a shame.
You also I feel that the woman's emotional involvement with the guys who were her friends, and that was a bit more. Again, this probably happens a lot in Doctor Who. To be fair, but at the same time, I just felt like they're my friends. He taught me a lot. But he taught me so much about space travel. So what are we doing now?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like that's understandable in the current Doctor, but yeah, I see what you mean. I guess when you're an astronaut, that's kind of maybe something you're taught to deal with.
Yeah, I would have thought as well. Like, no, I would have thought like they're on that spaceship alone. They were the woman and those two guys, and I just feel like you would have thought you'd be a bit close to them at that time.
Well, since they both die in the space of like 2 minutes, yeah.
It would be that they're dead.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, I did think Hermione Norris played Lundvik. That was her name. I think she was quite good as a morally torn character. And then moving on slightly, when we get to the point where the Doctor just leaves them to make their decision, I think that conversation between her and Clara was a lot more powerful. Without her, without the Doctor there. I think that she made a good point in both ways.
At this point, I actually had a few thoughts during this episode, and this will make me think quite good about it. Is that there's a point in it where I felt this felt like Pyramids of Mars to me, which is a brilliant story if you haven't seen it.
Tom Baker.
Yes. If you go again, watch Pyramids of Mars. Let's say to anyone listening to this. But I think the whole bit where he does the whole how there's certain points you can't see in history, and that points are going to be made right here. I felt very much like kind of a Pyramids of Mars kind of situation. It was where they had to make sure they acted quick in order to make sure they saved the world in some way. It was, and I really felt that. I really kind of felt that emotional impact coming there. Like, it's just too bad that it ended up meaning nothing. It did.
Yeah, I think the whole. No, hang on. So just a second. Ollie, please resume the podcast. I will be back in a sec.
I will talk about my opinion on this.
Okay.
So, right. So, I'm going to get this out here about this. This whole point where the world is making a decision. Now, you have to decide, are we going to nuke the egg?
That sounds so bad. Nuke the egg.
Okay, we're going to get another point after I finish this point. But basically, and then they have to make this whole decision. The whole world is going to make this decision. are we going to do this one like really immoral thing to save everyone? And that, obviously, it's a horrible decision to make. Even to kill one life to save everyone. That is a horrible decision to have to make. It is. It's just, why the hell then did Clara steal that decision from everyone in the entire world from a time that she's not from?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, there's this whole big thing about like, oh, what are they going to decide? And then Clara goes and overrules it anyway.
There was a point in them deciding that
Yeah.
Clara was going to do what she wanted.
Yeah, it did kind of defeat the whole object of the human race making the decision. And at this point, I'd forgotten whether leaving the lights on or off or what that meant, because I was starting to lose it a bit at this point. And though,
Stop being interested in it.
Yeah, I think also, well, there's not really much more to say about the moon part of it. The hatching egg was just.
I think, I guess, in a way, it was kind of obvious it was going to happen. Because I mean, again, if we're I know, like, I'm not going to get too much into the whole, if there's going to be people in this are going to disagree about the age of the Earth, whatever. There's going to be again. I'd say let's go with the fact that in Doctor Who universe is very much cleared out. It's the way that science says that the universe is, and that. So it says the moon is in there for 100 million years in this episode, and that. So we kind of have to assume this happens every 100 million years.
Yeah.
It does. So
giant dragon in the sky and all that.
So the Doctor clearly knew that it happened before 100 million years ago. He did, and clearly could say that. So I mean, the whole thing of him saying, "I can't say what's going to happen in the future." Well, you could have told us what happened back then.
Yeah,
So
I think, I mean, like I've said, I think what he was trying to do, even if he did it kind of a little bit patronisingly or not very well, was, let them make a decision, even though Clara took that away.
Clara made the decision.
But I think then we're going into the whole argument that they have in the TARDIS, which is interesting because I suppose even though we see it quite similarly, we do take different sides. I'm kind of on the Doctor's side, and Ollie's kind of on Clara's.
But I think we so little care about the thing that was over that it's hard for us to really say we're on the side.
Yeah, well, if you want to talk about that first.
Defaultly, I kind of feel like I am. I suppose I side with her a bit more, mainly because I think the Doctor was being a douche on this decision. And I think that's pretty much it. Again, I know you say you think she's being a bit more whiny about it, but I still feel, when you put her in this whole thing for no reason, when everything's going to be the same no matter what the world, whatever happened, I just feel he's being a bit of a douche.
Okay, that's your take, and I mean, mine was ultimately that I think Clara, even though it was suddenly happened in Deep Breath, she's suddenly a control freak, because she is kind of quite controlling about it. The fact that she had that control of the situation, she likes to be able to control the Doctor, and then he just suddenly left her a bit floundering. I think she felt a bit out of her depth. Even I don't think she handled it okay, but obviously she was quite upset about that, and she had every right, to be upset. He's her friend, and he's put her in a situation which is really uncomfortable. But at the same time, I mean, well, look at what everyone else has had to do in the past. She can kind of just, that's travelling with the Doctor for you.
Like, again,
imagine if Perry or Ace had exploded like that.
Much, although I will say again, David has seen a lot more classic Who than me. So if I'm correct from this a bit more, I don't feel the Doctor has been as forceful with making them. Like, it's always been like the Doctor's been put in a situation where they've had to decide, rather than he's forced them into that position.
Yeah, I the only thing I guess I think was that the Doctor was kind of, even though he may have seemed at the time, standoffish, because he knew that it was going to be okay or whatever. That he knew there was no danger. I guess Clara was just upset about that. But at the same time, I think, I don't know, I had another point on this, but I can't remember it right now.
I was going to say, I was thinking this episode was going to be just a hotbed for controversy.
Yeah.
It did, because it was just like, as soon as it got into, again, we're not going to...
Oh, yeah, it had a kind of very pro-life message, didn't it?
Because people will hate us no matter what we say. But kill the moon, kill the baby before it's born. Is it right or wrong?
Yeah, it was a
What
bizarrely clear
What were we talking about there,
abortion debate.
What were we talking about?
Definitely. And I think that was kind of the Doctor Who has a habit of doing this, just kind of weaving in various moral debates for no apparent reason. Recently, anyway. But yeah, Courtney. Just to quickly cover Courtney, I thought there were moments when I thought, oh no, they're going back to that whole they don't understand a teenager thing. Like when she was, I'm bored. I was like, oh, for goodness sake, you're 15. I've got a sister who's 15. If you're on the moon, you kind of understand the gravitas of the situation. But most of the time, I thought she was quite good, and especially in the second half, when she kind of woke up a bit and realised, actually, okay, fair, this is big, and I just ignored the line that apparently she's president of the United States, because that's just...
I said that to you after you were like, what?
Yeah, I missed that, because they just think that's funny or cool, but it really just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a British person is president of the United States.
This isn't the parallel universe where Harriet Jones becomes president, okay? Although that was president of the UK, I think they switched it round then.
Again, I'm not going to be like, I think we were going to correct me on something here, but I swear they said she was president of the US.
Oh no, they did. I'm talking about. I went back to Harriet Jones in Doomsday when they mentioned she'd become president of the UK, because that's what it was in the parallel universe.
Oh right, okay, fair enough. Okay.
And Prime Minister of the US and all that. But yeah, I mean this is just, I don't know. Let's make a funny comment because it's funny or something, but it isn't. Never mind. All the same. So yeah, we didn't think all that much of Kill the Moon. We've gone on for a long time about this one.
Yeah, I mean, we actually did have probably about a half-hour discussion about this. We did about last week.
Yeah.
We had a lot more in-depth kind of talking about it. We did. I mean, I say in-depth and that. A lot of it is more of my rantings and that, which we probably had to slim down a lot for this.
Okay.
But, I guess
if we can,
I want to just like I want to do like my scoring thing for the end of these, and you can say yours after it. I want to make clear this is not using my official scoring system, which I should say is not my system. It was actually just I believe it was developed by and it was actually made for anime. It was, so I a little bit changed it a bit, but it was, I believe it was made by Holden Reviews. It was a soaring system. It was, and I just tweaked it a little bit for live action stuff. But I'm not using it right now. That is my regular one. Where if you see me do a normal one of the series, that's the one I'll be using. That one pretty much. It'll be. So I just want to talk about my general just baseline out of 10s for the series so far.
In other words, Ollie's going to rate the episodes out of 10.
Yes, but I'm not. It's not official.
Unofficially. Okay,
yes. You can do your ones as well. I think.
Okay.
But,
you first.
I'll say, I guess, first of all, Deep Breath, I give a 6 out of 10 to.
Deep Breath, I quite liked. I think at the time I was like 8 out of 10. I think that probably stands, to be honest. I liked the fact it had extra length to it.
That's fair enough then. I guess.
A bit generous, maybe, but hey.
It's how you see it. I think when it's like 8 out of 10, it has to be very good.
Okay.
8 out of 10 for me, it does. I think 6 out of 10 just means above average to me, it does.
Okay. Into the Dalek.
So, Into the Dalek, I give a 5, completely average.
6, I think.
Fair enough.
Robot of Sherwood.
Again, I hated this, so it's going to be harsh, but I think with the fact that what I can see in it, and I think a general thing of fans, I give it a 3 out of 10. If it was just me on my general just enjoyment of it, a 2.
I'm probably going to 5, maybe. It's 6 if I'm generous, but yeah, around that mark.
Yeah. Next one, then we're on to...
Listen.
Yeah, I'm not even going to be nice on this one. I feel this is almost as... again, I'm torn only between 2 numbers here, and oddly enough, the first 2 numbers.
Not counting 0 as a number, no.
I'm not using 0 in this, so I'm gonna. I feel. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I'm being this hard because it feels like, again, I have to be very certain to give something this bad a rating in that. But again, it's not as bad as Doctor's Wife. I can sit through this. I could sit through Listen Again.
I probably need to get a decent rating on it. I'm not sure what to give it.
I'd give it a 2 out of 10. I would.
Well,
it's more watchable, so I'd give it a 1 out of 10.
Maybe 3 or 4. I mean, like I said, I liked a couple of scenes, but other ones I just thought were really bad. Okay, Time Heist.
This is where I'm so conflicted, because the last 15 minutes I'd give a 7 or an 8.
Yes, I'd overall go for probably 7/8 for that. But again, that's just for the whole episode. You don't like the rest of the episode.
I feel for me, I might have maybe I've seen too much stuff like this, whereas they might not have.
Yeah.
And I just feel it was very boring. And I feel just for how boring I feel either a 5 or a 6.
Okay. Right. The Caretaker.
Again, it's a character and a plot. There is no plot whatsoever. There's so much stuff in it I dislike. Probably stuff that I dislike is more important than stuff I like. So I guess below average, a 4.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with you on that. Kill the Moon. No.
Again, it's something I feel is only somewhat watchable, mainly for the fact that I really, if I wasn't going to review it, I would have stopped.
Okay, it appears we've lost Ollie. I'm not sure how that's happened, but, yeah, anyway. I will try and get him back for us. It's a good thing we're not a live radio station. Anyway, okay, let's go. Kill the Moon, I think I'd probably give that... it's difficult really, because the central concept I didn't really like. It was quite divisive, but maybe a 4 or a 5, simply because I quite like the space element to it, and I didn't mind the monsters either. I'm just trying to call Ollie again, see if I can get him back. That's the danger of doing things through Skype, I think.
Yeah,
you there, Ollie?
Was that still recording during that?
We're still going, yeah. I just kind of bridged the gap.
What did you get up to on there?
Well, Kill the Moon obviously is the most recent, nearly most recent anyway. So.
Did I say my score when you heard that there? I didn't know where I cut off at.
No, you cut out at well, you just kind of. Where did you cut out? I don't think I got your score.
I hated what is the worst of the series, and I was going to say I give it my most horrible score of 1 out of 10.
Ooh, harsh. Okay, there were other bits I enjoyed, so I give it probably a 4-ish. Okay, Mummy on the Orient Express. You haven't seen yet.
You can talk about. I'm going to say this. I was out with my girlfriend. It can happen, nerds. It can happen.
Your girlfriend, whose username for several things is Nerd13, so you know, nerding for the win. Okay. Right, Mummy on the Orient Express. I will not do any spoilers. Obviously, Ollie has not seen it yet. But I found it immensely enjoyable. I think all the acting in it was great. Although there was one guest star, Foxes, who appeared. She's a singer. Appeared in it for like 15 seconds. She was good, but shouldn't have been like promoted as a big guest star. But Frank Skinner, I thought he was brilliant. I think it felt a lot like a Big Finish audio story, to be honest, in the way it approached characters. And dilemmas.
Frank Skinner, and I love Frank Skinner.
Yeah, he was loving it, and I think, you know, just overall, I don't want to say too much because of spoilers, but I think it was quite creepy, quite atmospheric. The monster was good, and it was my favourite of the season so far. I'd probably give it a 9, to be honest. That's, yeah, I know, and I think Twitter has generally been pretty mixed for everything this season, but it just loved it. Not that I gauge my opinion on Twitter, but I do think, you know, it was popular amongst fans of classic Who and Russell T. Who and Moffat Who, and, you know, I think it did well. So,
I mean,
you're in for a treat, I hope, mate.
I hope so. It sounds really good. It does. I mean, I suppose you gave Deep Breath an 8, where I give it a 6, but at the same time, I do trust John. I've got Frank Skinner in it. It does, and they have had guests, but they've not used them as well as I hope they would. But at the same time, I love Frank Skinner.
Oh, he's such a huge Doctor Who fan. He subscribes to Doctor Who magazine and everything. He was in the 5-ish Doctors. Yes. Oh, yeah. The Five-ish Doctors is fantastic. If anyone hasn't seen it, oh, I don't know. Made the anniversary anyway. We've been going for an hour and 4 minutes. Well, I'm gonna have to find a way to cut this up to put it on YouTube.
Right. You know, parts good.
Yeah, I think I'll do it in installments.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
I think we'll do a bit of closing here on this. Then I'm just gonna. I think I'll say what I want to say here. I'll say my piece.
okay.
You have been listening to the Nerd View Review podcast. Please like this, subscribe to us here.
Yeah.
You know,
I could try and put this on iTunes, but I'm not sure
tell
how that
people
works.
how much you love us. just
Not to be self-promoting or anything.
Well, you got to do it a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough. I think this has probably been the first thing we put up. We have filmed several reviews in the past. I need to actually edit them. I can do that now, so they should be up soon.
We did a Death Note one, but I don't know if we're going to upload it or not, because it wasn't a very good review. I thought we might put Death Note one up just because it might show how we started doing reviews.
Yeah, I mean, we've been at this for 2 years and haven't uploaded anything.
It's true. I think we might save Death Note or something on there, just because I feel Death Note would be quite funny to put up just to show how we've changed in doing.
Well, my cousin's going to compose us a theme music. If any of you guys have got pop culture music that you think should, we should review, not music we should review, shows we should review, films we should review, or things that should go in our title sequence, then just let us know.
I think if you want to talk about just with reviews and that, for the next few weeks, we'll probably still be talking about Doctor Who Season 8. But we might still find time in between to see if we can catch up on other shows. We mostly do a lot of kind of the older sci-fi and that. It is just a general thing that we know to talk about.
Indeed.
It is. So if you've got more older sci-fi stuff, that maybe some current, and that's what I want to get into.
Yeah, I like
maybe
a lot of current fantasy shows.
We're also generally fantasy film fans and that as well.
As our many Lord of the Rings marathons will testify.
Yes, we've done Lord of the Rings marathons more times than I remember. I have 2 Lord of the Rings posters. Well, no, that's a lie. I have a Lord of the Rings poster and a Hobbit poster up in my dorm. And that too.
Yeah, we're both uni students, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's So I do it. So I'm just gonna. So I am a massive fan of that. So I mean, if you got some fantasy film or a sci-fi film, I mean, mostly we want to do classic sci-fi and that on this.
Yeah, well, we'll just see where we go, really, I suppose.
But, we're also planning on doing a Merlin review sometime in the future and that. So, I mean, whatever kind of stuff you think might be that kind of stuff, but, sci-fi or fantasy is what we mostly want to review.
Yeah. Anyway, so thanks for listening, folks. I'm not sure everyone would have had the stamina to listen through 1 hour and 8 minutes of us, but you never know.
Listen to your car, listen to it in work, get fired for listening to this in work.
Brilliant.
It's worth it. It's very worth it.
Okay, folks. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.